We are back. Welcome to my channel, Get Legit LLC. Thank you for joining me again, and thank all of you who have subscribed to the channel for your support. It is much appreciated. And so today we are at it, where we will be discussing all things love and marriage, Huntsville. Let's get into the discussion. Here, our information is for entertainment purposes only, and those information that we use that are copyrighted materials that we are using such under Section 107 of the Copyrights Act 1976, fair use. And if there's any persons who own these materials that we use, and you feel as though we've gone beyond the threshold of what is considered to be fair use, please feel free to communicate that with us so we could make the necessary adjustments. And now, for those of you who have not yet subscribed to the channel, please like, comment, share, and hit the subscribe button. I'm trying to grow here. So let's get into it. Love and marriage, Huntsville. And for those of you who have listened to other content creators review, and for those of you who have been following what we discuss here at this channel, we try to look at it and see what is the legal content, the legal issues that emanates from what we're seeing on the screen. Yes, we get into our views as it relates to what the parties have been saying and how we feel about it. But for the most part, we try to decipher out those legal or possible legal issues and just do a review of it based on our research that we have done online or looking at the legislation or from looking at different cases. So Melody and Stormi, they met at the party that Melody hosted for Kimmy. And while they were there, Stormi entered. They had a discussion as it relates to Melody not communicating with Stormi. And in that discussion, there was the question or the issue raised by Stormi as it relates to trust and as it relates to the recording that was done of Melody talking about how she feels seeing Martel, her ex-husband, with another woman. And so let's look at that issue, because while it might seem trivial, because we keep hearing on Love and Marriage Huntsville allegations as it relates to what was said at the reunion when Melody said that someone tried to basically hack her phone, and when it comes to what Stormi and her were discussing on the second episode of season 6, where they discuss the possibility that someone recorded what Mel was saying. So let's get into what that is. And I have the script here. It says, if the recording was of some interview Mel did, because if you recall, Stormi said Mel, well, you basically said in her confessions that Mel has been giving interviews. Okay, so if the recording was of some interview Mel did, and recording I mean what Destiny later took and showed to Martel and Chris Fletcher. So my question is, if it was of an interview, why did Destiny feel the need to play it for Martel as if it was not in the public's domain? So that, to me, that is telling me that it was not a recording of an interview in the public sphere. So that, to my mind, suggests a recording of a private conversation with Mel. And the question is, was Destiny a party to that conversation? Or was Stormi being a part of the conversation when she visited Mel? What I think we have not done is to look at listen to recording and listen to what was said when Mel was getting her massage to see if it lined up. But even if it did line up, does it mean that Stormi was the only person in a position to leak that recording? So let's get into the legal ramifications when it comes to recording in the state of Alabama. And the reason why we're only looking at the state of Alabama in this case is because Love and Marriage Huntsville is in Alabama, okay? For those persons who are listening to this review and you live in New York, you live in Atlanta, Georgia, those two states, among others, similar to Alabama when it comes to consent. California, they don't play. California, I believe that, well, not I believe, California is one of the states where there has to be two-party consent. So let's get into what is one-party consent and what is two-party consent, okay? So the state of Alabama is a one-party consent state. So it is legal to record a conversation you are taking part in. Therefore, if that recording was recorded by someone who was a party to the conversation with Melody, then it is protected. It would be protected because if, let's say, Stormi, for argument's sake, let's say Stormi recorded it. Stormi and Melody having a conversation. Stormi records it without Melody consenting. It doesn't matter. Stormi is a part of that conversation. So Stormi later playing it, it is protected because Stormi is a party to that conversation. Had they been in California now, Melody would have had to consent to it. That's the difference. Okay, so even if Melody, so it's protected, even if Melody did not know she was being recorded. That is because the one party to the conversation, Stormi, consented, and only one party needs to consent to a recording since they are in Alabama. It would have been a different situation if they were in California, as I said before. But, and when I say Stormi made the recording, I'm using it as an example. If Stormi was the person who made the recording, okay? If the parties to the conversation were not the ones who recorded it, now let's say for some reason, some third party not being a part of the conversation, and that third party recorded it and released it, then that recording being played by Destiny to Martin and Chris Fletcher is not protected. Remember, it has to be a conversation between the two persons. So either in a phone conversation or we're talking, and one of the parties records it, release it, that person is a party to the conversation. But a third person, if Destiny was lurking away around in the room, or let's say she was hiding under that massage table and she recorded it, or someone else in the room could have recorded it. Had they done, because if they did so without Melody's consent and then release it, those persons are not protected under it. If you are a third person now, a third party, whoever else was in the room, or if Destiny was hiding under the massage table, and you would require consent from the parties taking part in the conversation. And it says here, the Federal Communications Commission, FCC, states that you may gain consent to make a recording by getting verbal or written consent prior to the recording being made. And remember, it says prior to. A verbal recording being played before the conversation, and for a lot of us would be familiar where we see an example is where you would hear, or you make a call to a particular company and it says this phone call is being recorded for quality control purposes. That's one area how you get consent. Or an audible beep tone being repeated at steady intervals during the duration of the conversation. You're talking to someone and you keep hearing this beep, beep. At some point, you know that you're being recorded. So you would have knowledge that you're being recorded. So those are the three ways in which you get consent from a person if you are not a party to the conversation. In Alabama, it is a criminal offense to use any device to record communications, whether it's wire, oral, or electronic, without the consent of at least one person taking part in the communication. The rules are differently depending on whether you are recording audio, video, and audio with video. So the rules change. If it's a video, it's something completely different. So then the issue is, even though Mel was inside her house and Stormi visited, if it was Stormi who recorded it, given that Mel and Stormi was filming for a television show, then despite it being her private domain, being her home, where she would have an expectation of privacy ordinarily, because there would have been a camera crew and the video recording would have been broadcasted or could have possibly been broadcasted, then I would argue that Melody did not have any expectation of privacy, because what she said to Stormi, if she said while the cameras were rolling, would be for public consumption or could have possibly made the cut to be on the show. And so she would not, in that sphere, even though in her private home, not have reasonable expectation of privacy. But let's say Melody told the crew to leave and the cameras were just there rolling and she was having this private conversation with Stormi, and someone overheard it and recorded it. That third party, then they're not protected based on my understanding of what this legislation is saying. Okay, so let's also deal with the issue as to what transpired at the reunion, where Melody said someone tried to hack her phone, or she believes someone tried to hack her phone. Just bear in mind that it is a criminal offense. Let's say that person was successful. That would have been a criminal offense. And I think because the trivial way in which these topics are being brought up and they're discussed, you want people to understand that you could be held liable, you could be held criminally liable for some of the things that you do. And for those of you who've looked at my video before, I talked about that in a video where I discussed Martel's recording Malia and posting it, that he as a parent can consent for his child. I also dealt with the legal implications of where a party did not consent and you would have needed that person to consent. So you can go back and look at that video. I wanted to get into this issue of Martel keep bringing up the fact that Melody is the mother of his children. It seems to portray a image that he is proud of the fact that he turned his ex-wife into the mother of his 4 children. He keeps saying it, and oftentimes I get the impression as though he's saying these things and making these comments so that when Melody goes public with whomever she's dating, or when there's another man in the children's lives, that he can regurgitate these same statements and it would be like, oh, well, I've been saying it. I think that's what he's preparing for. I think him talking about not wanting the children around their uncle, I don't think it's so much that. We might think it's that, but I think he's making base arguments for when Melody introduces those children to whomever she's dating. And so he would have a foot to stand on to say, I've been saying this, I don't want any man around my children. And I think it's so selfish of him, but we know he's a selfish person. But I think it's so mean of him to, in one breath, his children can be around him and other females, and in another breath, he's saying he wants to control Melody's life to the extent that he doesn't want any other man around his children apart from him. And I think oftentimes we overlook these things, and I think we overlook the fact that him saying Melody's brother and talking about the fact that Melody just met the brother when she was 16, I don't think that's really what he's trying to say. I think his thing is he's being homophobic, and I think we tend to skirt around it. They gloss over the issue when they asked him, and he said no. But what else could it be? If it really is about Mel's brother, and he said he will often make the comment that we discuss these things when, yeah, but you discussed those things when you were together as a family, and it seemed as though he broke up his family, ruined his family, messed up his children's lives because now they no longer live in one home with mommy and daddy, but he still wants to keep certain things keep going, and he doesn't realize the dynamics of the family has changed to the point that Melody now needs to work even harder, because while the dynamics of the family change, the dreams and the desire Melody and him had for their children, or Melody still have, that remains the same. So she's going to grind so that she could create that for her children, and you can't blame her. I just think it's something that needs to be discussed, that needs to be looked at, and that we don't normalize that kind of behavior. I wanted to get into Kimmy and Maurice's discussion And Kimmy talking to Maurice about the party and Martel's reaction when she asked him if he misses, having someone in his life that he can call and talk to, who is his ride or die. Um, really, Martel does not need enemies. I think Martel is his own enemy. I think oftentimes he says things, he does things that he really don't think about it. Don't try to see whether or not it makes sense. In one breath, he's only dating, nothing serious. But then in another breath, oh, he wants to get married, and it's the flippant way in which he looks at, oh, I want to get married this year, or by the end of the year. It's almost like what he's trying to do is to basically taunt Mel to let her know, well, if you don't want me, somebody else will take me, because by the end of this year, I'm going to be married, whomever that is. I mean, the way he ran behind Coleslaw, you would think by now, marry her. She gave you a child already. Make an honest woman out of her, It only makes sense. And so I don't like the fact also that I think Kimmy, it's almost as if they want you to cuddle Martel, cuddle him because he messed up his life and now he's alone and he's not doing well without Mel and he's missing Mel. But who was cuddling Mel when he was out doing all that? We watch the show and we see the females, they really weren't there for Mel the way we see the females on Love and Love and how you go? Housewives of Miami. It was nice to see how those girls came and circled Lisa and were there for her. And then we saw quite the opposite on Love and Marriage Huntsville. And so it's just crazy to watch. And so that's why I say Martel is his own worst enemy. He says things, he does things, and I think because he have gone so long unchecked, he thinks it's okay, but he's realizing slowly it's not. So it's crazy. The other thing that I took issue with was Maurice. While I agreed with what Maurice said to Martel and the comment he made and the joke that, it's cold outside. But the fact that he said, he made a comment and he said about talking about woman scorn. And to me, that's weird. I don't think and I don't get the impression that Melody is a scorned woman. I just think Melody is a woman who's over it, who's been over it, and over the games and over the drama, and quite frankly, just over Martel period. When we're done, we're done, and even if she had some inkling now to say, okay, maybe we could work it out, I think Martel has shown her an ugly side of him that she herself doesn't even want to go back there. And because imagine you rekindle with him, he gets to know more of your business, gets to know what you're doing. And the moment he's upset because he has shown his weakness and he leaves, then guess what? Your peace, what you're trying to create now becomes in the public domain because he's going to go and talk. So you can't trust him. He cannot be trusted. And I think even if Mel had thought about maybe I can give him a second chance and maybe we can rebuild, maybe whatever, his actions, the way he dug her out, as to use her words, is showing that he can't be trusted. And sometimes trust means more than just love, to say I love you and I want to be with you. What has he shown her? What has he given her over the years to her to look at and say, he has changed, he's a decent man? I think oftentimes people don't realize that as females, yeah, we might think you look cute. And of course, Martel is a handsome man. He might be handsome. But at his core, he's an ugly man. He's handsome outside, but inside he's warped, he's ugly, he's flippant, he's a time bomb. Can go off anytime. And those things, women, we don't find those things attractive. And as mature women, you would think that they would look at the show, they would see him, Sheree, talking to you, and realize, I don't want that. So to even align yourself with him, even if it's just for a storyline, just to align yourself with him for a storyline, says a lot about you. And the fact that he's now on the show kind of downgrading you to the point that, like, you're not the one, he's not going to marry. You guys are only having fun, nothing serious, you're not exclusive. He's saying a lot about you and himself by virtue of those comments he keeps making, that you're not exclusive, you're just having fun, that he's not thinking marriage. When he finds that one, which suggests he hasn't found that person as yet, so then why go public with him? Why put yourself in that position? We could have done, we could have gone without not knowing your business, and until you guys reach a place and know that, yeah, this is serious. On the show, Martel failed to realize, like I said, the mean side of him. He brought out a gutter behavior against his wife. He was vile, and his serpentine attitude and behavior was so much that even us, the viewers, we can't get past it. And as much as people say, oh, we're trauma bonding with Mel, or oh, that we're still keeping him in that place, it's not that. He keeps doing the same thing over and over. Nobody's trauma bonding with Mel. We empathize with her, and for those people who have gone through the same thing, they can really see and relate. And yeah, to a certain extent, yeah, they bond, but that's not nothing that you would want to see another woman go through. And so when you see it here, it's like, what is he doing? And then he expects that the moment he does these things, and the moment he decides, okay, I'm not going to do it anymore, Mel should just take me back, love me, and then wait for when he explode again. It is really, 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 really asinine for him to think so. One thing I wanted to make reference to in this scene where we saw Martel wanting to walk Mel, and then they got the purse. I just want to say, Mel, don't become materialistic. It's not a good look. You keep making reference to the brand of things that you're wearing, and unless Versace is paying you for an ad, okay, unless Gucci is paying you, yeah, but so why do this? Why start to become this? Oh, it's Gucci. Oh, Versace, when he asked about the purse. Like, nobody's asking you about the brand. A purse is a purse. It's how you wear it. I don't think it's a good look for you to keep branding things. Oh, it's a brand. Like, brand ho or something, label ho or whatever. Don't become that on the show. Unless these people are paying you, then yeah, you do it. But I like the fact that you keep promoting your products. You keep wearing your t-shirts. You keep wearing your cream, your lotion. You show these things. You show the Posner mug because you have a partnership with them. I wouldn't use my platform, if I were you, to be talking about Versace and name. I mean, yeah, it is what it is. People can see quality when they, if they know it. But for you to be on your show and then, oh, Versace, or when you did your live, the Gucci sunglasses, I believe it was Gucci. We're not here for that. We support you, but we don't need to support you because of what you're wearing. We support the individual. Don't become vain like Martel now. That's just something I wanted to say on the side. I asked the question, why does the cast, or Kimmy and the cast, call Martel? And I find that to be very funny. He's a grown man, so it just seems weird. It just seems weird to me. But I think people are seeing, people are realizing, and like Martel, we're over it. And like I said, the storyline, even if Sheree and him being for a storyline, I just find it so, it's like he's demeaning her to my mind. Demeaning her when he keeps telling people, oh, she's not, like she's not the one yet, to that extent, to paraphrase what he keeps saying. They're not exclusive. He's going to marry sometime this year. So kind of like, I'm not dating you exclusively. I'm just having fun. But yeah, if I think we're getting married, you might be the one, or you might be a contender. Or he could be throwing it out there for any possible person to feel cute and be like, oh yeah, he wants me. Mm-mm. So I said here, Martel playing and joking about God. That's something I just think needs to be discussed. I know he's just taking jabs at Melody's God Said Go, but I mean, let's not do that. He has never portrayed to us as a godly person. He has never talk about, apart from asking Mel about the prayer, he has never really spoken in that light of being, protected and guided and one with God, and not one with God, but close to God and respectful and so on. So I just kind of looked at when he made the comment, it's like, oh, so now we're just going to play with the word with God. No, not a good look. Like I said here, I don't understand why Sheree allows Martel to be on the television show, claiming to be dating her, but not exclusive. But at the same time, he's on the show running behind his ex-wife and then joking about her, whether or not her being the one. He chuckled when Chris and his wife asked him that. Like, I really don't understand. I really don't understand why you would date somebody and on a national platform and national television and have that person play you the way he's doing it. I don't get it. Tisha telling her cousin Courtney, that her younger cousin, that she looks like her, and then telling her that is a compliment. Tisha, get over yourself. And Manda has a cookbook out, apparently, or is working on a cookbook. Like Mel's shirt says, God bless you on the journey, Miss Wanda. I wanted to get into Melody and Nell discussing. I found it very touching. It was good to see them in that openness. And I kind of agree with Kempire, where he said that he can't understand why these grown people are in other people's, business. But I guess that's what friends do. Friends would pull you aside every so often and talk to you. So I didn't see anything wrong with it. Um, as a mother, I cannot imagine not seeing my daughter every day. So for Martel's selfishness to lead to Melody not being able to mother her children daily, and then he now wants to create drama around him having to get babysitters because he destroyed his home. I think it's kind of selfish move. And the comment he made in the last snippet of a video that we saw with him talking to his mother about the custody case, where he said, oh, after 27 days and work and the attorney sent him a $10,000 bill. It's like, it's the money. It's not so much getting the children, not so much the children's welfare, but he looked at it, oh, the money. So the money he has to expend out is why he wanted the mediation. So could it be the money that he intends to get or hopes to get could be the reason why he wants custody? I know other bloggers have been alluding to that, and it could possibly be that is the case. So I really don't get his point, and he keeps to just throw words out there, and I think that's the part that we don't like. He talks about this 20 girlfriend when it comes to my son. Now it's 20 babysitters. It's like you can't move from the number 20. Maybe that something happened to him when he was 20. I don't know, but he seems stuck there when it comes to any allegation he wants to raise. And I think for you to ruin your family, destroy your family unit, and then complain that the person who is helping you raise your children has to work harder now or is on her grind, and that's a problem. And he doesn't understand that even though the children are with Mel's brother on Mel's time to be with the children, that's the control that Mel needs for her children. It's my time, so I see what happens to them, where they go. It's the same as if when he has them, he could say, okay, I'm going to leave the children with my mother and I go off and do what I need to do to work. It shouldn't be that because, yes, you are available and yes, you've petitioned the court because you want the first right of refusal. That doesn't mean you're going to get it. It doesn't mean that the court will tell Mel, well, you need to chime in with him whenever you're going somewhere to always, because what it will do, he will always know when she's going out of the country. He will always know what she's doing. He will always have to be in communication with her whenever she's out working. And then he will use it against her. He will use it against her to say she works too much. Not that I have the children watching my kids because she's out working. It's going to become, oh, she works too much, so I should be getting custody. So anywhere around it, he was always going to use that knowledge of that information to work for him. And the fact that he writes down these things tells you he's calculating. He's a dangerous man as it relates to, he's not doing what he thinks is best in the best interest for these children. He's just doing what he wants because he's used to getting the control. He's used to being the one. Now, could somebody please tell me why this trainer looks that way? Why she opens her eye like she and all, like she has beef with Kiki? I found that so funny. To me, I couldn't even get past the conversation with Tisha and Kiki because I just kept like, "Ooh, you heard something? You heard the tea? You're here for the tea?" I just found it funny. And on a lighter note, I just wanted to, Mel made reference that Martel sent her 10,000 roses. Martel, as much as you want your wife back, your ex-wife back, and as much as you think these gestures that you're doing now will win her, how about just change? How about just be decent? How about just be respectful of her? How about drop that custody case that you have going on before the court? And stop making it seem as though someone did you something. You are the one who brought the motion. You are the one who instructed attorneys to bring this matter to court. You were the one who is the plaintiff. Mel is a respondent, and she may have put in a counter to what you filed. So it's within her right. But to cry wolf and want to seem as though Mel did something because she didn't want to mediate to your 6 terms, you need to change. Forget the roses. Forget flowers. Forget walking her to the door. How about change? How about being a better person? Not just for Melody, but for your own kids. Melody couldn't care less what you become now. It's like that R. Kelly song, when a woman's fed up. And she is fed up. She has had enough. I think you and Ariane did your number on her and you didn't break her. Because by the grace of God, she stood steadfast in her belief and she's victorious now. She has the last laugh. And so, at the end, I just want to thank you all for joining my channel. Thank you all for subscribing. And those of you who haven't yet subscribed, please subscribe. I need the support. I'm trying to at least make it to 1,000. I know I'll get there. Because I'm a very determined person. So determined that I said I'm going to make sure I put out this video today because I recorded it from Saturday night. However, the audio was terrible, so I had to do. And I'm a growing channel. I'm not there yet with all these behind the scenes people working with me. So, but if you all subscribe and like the content and share and comment, we can get there. So until we discuss love and marriage Huntsville again, I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And that is it for today.